Metalcore is something I hold like near and dear to my heart. I mean, I grew up on 2000s metalcore. A lot of you guys know that by now. And ever since, I listened to other styles of music, other subgenres, non-metal things. But, my heart is with the core and the breakdowns and the 5/7/8 and all of that. And as much as I love the metalcore scene and the bands in it, I feel like something that is a pattern that keeps happening is a metalcore band will get really big as a metalcore band, but then they'll want to stylistically try something new. And, not saying every band that does this does a great job, by the way. There's a lot of really, really shit songs that have come from bands that were originally metalcore and then they tried something else and it didn't work out. Like, that's fine, right? But there's also a lot of great songs in different spaces that help elevate the genre by getting new, audiences indirectly into metalcore through these bands trying new things that a lot of times aren't really celebrated. It's always like, oh, maybe this song's a little softer. Even if it's a good song, sell out. You know what I mean? Or, oh, this song's too weird, or this song is too industrial, or this song's too this. And the band just gets shunned. And it makes the band not even feel like they probably want to be a part of the scene anymore, which just sucks because then they have to isolate such a huge chunk of their fan base with no other choice other than just sticking to the one style of metalcore and hitting that ceiling forever and never being able to expand their wings more and grow even more, which is something I don't want to see happen either, right? Metalcore bands need to be able to feel comfortable to be a metalcore band and try different things and expand and bring other influences in, because that's what grows it. That's what raises this ceiling. That's what deathcore literally is doing right now. That's why I think deathcore is literally more exciting to me than some of the modern metalcore stuff happening, because there's just new innovations and they don't care. They're trying new things, and as long as there's heavy breakdowns mixed in with whatever other clean singing or chill vibes they're doing, usually they're down with it if it sounds good and emotionally connects, and it's easier to even, make those things more viral. They connect more with even the TikTok area, which I know is not the favorite metalcore scene area, but the TikTok audience and the viral audience and the mainstream audience. It's just easier to connect to, I feel, deathcore nowadays, and there's a little bit more innovation with bands like Lauren of Slaughter to Prevail, Shout of Intent, Brand of Sacrifice, Darko, than there's happening necessarily in the metalcore scene. You fast forward to today where, again, Architects is doing more of their, Euro industrial stuff, which, again, I really like. I know there's a big outrage in the metalcore community with what, to a point with their new style, and same thing with Parkway Drive. But they're doing their own thing. They're expanding. And I'm just like, who's kind of leading the charge anymore of at least modern metalcore? There's definitely a few metalcore bands that, even though they're a little bit smaller, are super exciting for me, that I feel like will take the charge next, that are innovating. And there's some from different eras. There's like the prog metalcore bands like Invent Animate. Honestly, their last two singles, some of the best literal metalcore I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, I don't know how that band is not like a million monthly listeners. Like, that band is incredible. Era, of course, everyone, a lot more people know Era. They're incredible with their progressive stuff. Of course, Crystal Lake and like Alpha Wolf. Like, there's a lot of really cool, more underground-ish, to mid-size metalcore bands coming from like Australia and Japan that are super exciting right now. And then there's more like the 2000s modernized sound bands like Bleed From Within, Bury Tomorrow. That's definitely, influenced by those bands, but doing a modern take, also incredible. And then there's the 2000s bands themselves that, they're still going, like Trivium, All That Remains, Killswitch, Bullet's last few tracks have been great too. But even those bands, I feel like a lot of them have left the metalcore sphere because they wanted to move on to different styles and expand and try different stuff. And then there's the bigger bands that are doing much more modern metalcore, like Wage War, Memphis May Fire. A Day to Remember's new song was metalcore. Even Falling in Reverse isn't really metalcore, but like they have metalcore styles. And all those bands I even mentioned, like, I got to give huge thanks to my homie Cody, who is from Wage War, because I'm pretty sure he worked on all of those songs and all those bands, at least all the new stuff, when it comes to either production or on the writing side. And I could tell his influence. Like, you can hear it. with the riffs. You open up the song, you hear the 50-50 octave split in the drop tuning. Breakdown comes, you hear the full octave tune down, and it's heavy as all craziness, and it's zeros, and it's metal. It's metalcore that I hope doesn't get too saturated, and I hope not every single time. It's like, all right, here's the song with the octave split, and then the breakdown is the whole octave two down tuned, and it's like I hope it doesn't get overdone. And the thing I'm worried, I guess, the most about is I almost feel like metalcore is like a dirty word now, just like deathcore used to be, which as soon as you're classified as like just a metalcore band, you're boxed in by media, you're boxed in by communities and your audience that you have to do these specific things, and you gotta write metalcore songs. You can't have a song that's necessarily like it's super experimental or super different. You can't necessarily have like a deathcore song. You're a metalcore band, and it's as simple as that, and that can be very, very annoying in as a band, and it can definitely withhold and limit your creativity, which is sad. And I feel like that's why bands like Architects and Parkway Drive, like they did it, like they were the top of the metalcore chain, like they made it. They did some of the best metalcore albums ever, and they wanted to get to the next level, but maybe they realized, I guess, metalcore wasn't at the next level. They needed to expand into different audiences, into European audiences. I think a good chunk of that is, but like just different audiences, different subsets of genres to upgrade as a band. Because metalcore, as much as I love it, especially in the modern age, I do understand how it can be limiting stylistically to bands. I mean, even for Termina, my own project, like I don't call us a metalcore band. I always call it a modern metal band, because I don't want to just do metalcore songs. I want to be able to do a deathcore track if we want. I want to be able to do a weird Deftones Black Gaze ballad. I want to be able to throw in a Thal track if we need to. You know what I mean? To have that freedom by setting those standards up early on, so you build your fan base to a much more diverse and variety-esque palette, maybe, and you have more freedom just to kind of go about. Because again, like we're seeing, like Architects or Parkway or other bands that have went the metalcore route, Bring Me, right? And then as soon as they leave the metalcore era, it's like the metalcore scene seems to just exile them almost, right? Which is sad to see, because these bands have so much good music in general, but it's metalcore bangers as well, even if they're not doing metalcore anymore. And I think it's just hard to see, or maybe hard to accept, that metalcore maybe does have that ceiling, and it's hard to expand past that as a band unless you explore these other genres. Let me know what you think. I hope crazy things are coming. There's a lot of good things happening and brewing, but I feel like the deathcore scene is a little bit of ahead of the metalcore scene right now. That's all I'm saying. And I hope both of them can intertwine and work together and blend with the modern metal sphere in general to really just make this new generation of metal like huge.